Hey there! Welcome to Tales Narration.
On paper, Alina has the life many people dream of. She's been with her husband, Rick, for 10 years, married for 5. They have beautiful children and a nice home. But if you peel back the layers of this seemingly perfect suburban life, you find a woman living in a ghost town. Rick works out of town 90% of the time. Alina isn't just a wife. She is essentially a single mother with a ring on her finger, managing the chaos of the household alone while her husband lives a separate life on the road. But the distance wasn't the thing that broke her. Loneliness she could handle. What she couldn't handle was the cruelty. This is the story of how a woman's self-esteem was systematically shattered by the person who vowed to protect her, and the dangerous, intoxicating path she took to find herself again. It didn't happen overnight. It was a slow poison. Rick wouldn't just come home tired, he would come home cold. He began chipping away at Alina's confidence with surgical precision. The first blow came casually over dinner one night. Rick looked at her, not with love but with disappointment, and said the words that would haunt her for years. "You know, Alina, you're not really my ideal type of woman. Never were." Imagine hearing that from the man you've devoted a decade of your life to. It planted a seed of insecurity that grew into a massive tree of self-loathing. Alina started looking in the mirror and seeing only flaws. She felt unsexy, unwanted, and invisible. But Rick wasn't done. The emotional abuse escalated from private comments to public humiliation. Last week, the dam finally broke. Rick was home for a rare weekend. Their 4-year-old daughter was playing in the living room, and out of nowhere, Rick laughed and said to the child, "Daddy is going to get a girlfriend soon. You know, just to help Mommy around the house since she can't handle it." He said it with a smile, like it was a joke. But for Alina, it felt like a knife to the gut. She told him how much it hurt, how it crushed her. He would stop for a few days, playing the role of the apologetic husband, but the cycle always repeated. The jabs always returned. Alina was at her breaking point. She was lonely, depressed, and convinced she was undesirable. One night, sitting alone in the dark house while Rick was miles away in a hotel room, she opened her laptop. She didn't go looking for an affair. She just wanted conversation. She wanted to feel like a human being. She entered an online chat room just looking to talk. But what started as innocent chatter quickly ignited into something much more dangerous. For the first time in years, men were paying attention to her. They weren't telling her she wasn't their type. They were telling her she was stunning. They were hanging on her every word. The validation hit her like a drug. The innocent flirting spiraled. It wasn't long before the text conversations turned into late-night video calls. The harmless compliments turned into heavy, breathless sexting sessions. Alina discovered a side of herself she thought was dead. She wasn't the tired, unappreciated housewife anymore. Online, she was a goddess. She was desired. She started exchanging pictures, risky, intimate photos that made her heart race every time she hit send. The thrill of the notifications lighting up her phone became the only thing getting her through the day. It became a double life. By day, she was the dutiful mother, ignoring Rick's cold texts. By night, she was exploring her deepest fantasies with strangers who made her feel alive. The conversations got spicy, aggressive. There was a heat in these digital exchanges that she had never experienced with Rick. She found herself craving the buzz of her phone, the rush of adrenaline when a new request for a photo came through. She felt powerful, she felt sexy, and for the longest time, she felt absolutely zero guilt. Why should she? Rick had already checked out of the marriage years ago. He had already replaced her emotionally with his work and his cruelty. In her mind, she was just taking back what was hers, her confidence, her body, her sexuality. She was getting the girlfriend experience Rick joked about, but on her own terms. But the high of a secret life is fragile. Today, something shifted. Maybe it was the way her daughter looked at her over breakfast. Maybe it was the silence of the house finally catching up to her. For the first time since she started this digital affair, the guilt didn't just knock on the door, it kicked it down. It's eating her alive. The reality of what she's doing, exchanging nudes, sexting strangers, living a complete lie, has crashed into her consciousness. She's standing at a crossroads. On one side is Rick, a man who belittles her, destroys her confidence, and leaves her alone 90% of the time. On the other side is the addiction, the hollow but intoxicating validation of strangers on the internet. Alina is terrified. She knows the marriage is toxic, but she also knows she's becoming someone she doesn't recognize. The thrill is turning into panic. So here is the question we have to ask. Is Alina the villain in this story for stepping out? Or is she a victim of emotional neglect who was pushed into the arms of the internet just to survive? What would you do if you were Alina? Would you confess? Would you leave Rick? Or would you keep the secret just to feel something again? Let's argue it out in the comments.